Hello everybody and welcome back to some more MDOD. In this video, we're going to be working on, figuring out how to make your character. And to help out with that, I have a little setup here. Some people will recognize this come this Saturday. I do not want to hover over any of these bottom sets of D100s just because of who they are for, and I don't yet want to spoil who all is involved with the Saturday session. But I do want to show off how to make characters just a little bit beforehand. So, yeah, give me one moment. I'm going to get everything set up. Alrighty, so here I've got an entire Excel spreadsheet that we'll be going over while I discuss all this to help, show what all is going on. And additionally, I have the physical copy of it, of which I will just be doing some. I will also do all the inputs in on this. Of course, as we're going into this, we should think about what our character should look like, basically, and what we want them to be. So, while I quickly, grab these, I could actually quickly. Oh wait, I forget. I am the. I am GM. I can steal these real quick for my own usage. But, yeah. Let's think a little bit on what we want to have for our character and which class trees we should look at and pull up said base class tree list. Sorry I have to do a lot of cutting in this video and all that, but that's just because MDOT has quite a lot of little things that we got to worry about just right at the beginning even. Of course, the base classes here are summarized into this nice little list, of which we're going to go through, and I'm going to explain basically how everything on this character sheet works as it comes up. So, first things first, don't mind me while I just Control C, Control V our name in, and of course when you do this you'll have your own character names going in and all that, and be doing whatever you would like to do with your character names. Or you may even have this sheet being printed out, of which case do with it as you will. Our class, we are going to determine one of our classes right now as part of rolling for this. But first, we need to determine 3 base class trees that we would like to roll from. That being blades, polearms, axes, ranged, stealth, armored, dark magic, fire magic, air magic, earth magic, water magic, and light magic. This extra tree that is mentioned right here is used only for game masters looking to spice up and just, generalize what type of characters might be in their world. It's not too in-depth just because it's meant to be sort of a stand-in thing that you do on a whim and kind of just have a bit of an idea behind, but not a ton of ideas behind. But for this character, I would like to pick up either light magic, um, dark magic, or any of the alchemy classes within fire, air, earth, or water magic. So we are going to think between light, dark. I like to classify those as the stars, which makes me think of the moon, which in turn makes me think of water magic. So, in our character, we are going to roll light magic, dark magic, and water magic. And I'm sorry for you OCD people who I failed to highlight the entirety of dark magic and light magic in that one little flip. I am so sorry. So, let us, excuse me while I quickly pop back over to here. Let us quickly roll up what our base classes are going to be. We have 92. I'm just going to pull out and write in red here, 92. 43. And finally, 77. So none of those were really the best. You may be a bit curious as to why I am rolling what exactly what class I am going to be in. And this is because MDOT does things a little bit special, and you can see it here. When you roll your classes, or when you go to pick a class, you pick from the 12 base class trees, and then end up rolling for which class you are going to play. Now, with Dark Magic, I ended up getting Fire Mage, so not my best roll. In the case that this happens, by the way, these classes over here are here for the overroll category, and what you do is you end up getting a specialty skill that will allow you to pick up different types of magic, but of course, you know, you're a fire mage, so your basic starting kit is going to be fire, and you have the ability to pick up dark magic much easier than some other characters. Sorry, I had to hold back a sneeze. In water magic, I rolled a 42, which is horseback rain mage, so again, kinda meh. Not my best rolls. Excuse me while I quickly check. Oh, it was 43, not 42. I'm sorry. It does still stay the same, however. So, now looking at our 77 in light magic, that one should be pretty good. Yes, it is. You will notice we got Timekeeper. Of the three, I will actually take Timekeeper, just because Timekeeper is one of my preferred classes in this game. In fact, for those who don't know, Chronomancy is my favorite class, or Chronomancer is my favorite class in the game as the person who has made it. Just because of the fun, crazy stuff we get, or they get. So, we're going to go in and mention that on both of the, or on the class, he is Timekeeper, and we will also go here, and I forgot about this earlier, we will make him Timekeeper. On the digital version of the sheet, you are also supposed to include what tier of the class you are, and what EXP speed you are playing. Tier of class is just which level on this is, so imagine the grid is classes and roles this way, and tier of class down the thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it goes to 0 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are playing Timekeeper, which is 1, 2, so they are a tier 2 class, which goes in here. You do not need to put them in your prestige. You do not need to put the number in your prestige tier. However, I have had some of my beta testers while playing this game mark which prestige tier they are in here as well. This area over here is to mark, as you will notice in both the digital variant and the physical variant, your maximum amount of prestiges. At level 1, or in basic player, you only go up to 3 prestige tiers, and you have a maximum level of 60. Currently, our character is level 0 because we haven't even started the game yet. Because they are a tier 2, their required EXP to level up is 200, as you will see from the digital version and from reading the manual. Furthermore, I'm going to quickly add in my player name, of course. You don't need to do this on this one. Most of the time, if I am running one of these in a group, what I will do is I will name the sheets the player name, and they can do what they will from there. So, as you end up leveling up, you will, in this version, increase this box from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 and so on and so forth. But, of course, first of all, before we even do any of that, we need to finish building the character. We can't level up till we have built our character. And there is a reason why I'm saying right now we are level 0. So, first off, let me pull open the light magic classes. The classes area, by the way, is categorized based off of which tree you are. Armored is the only tree that is not classified in here, and that is because armored commonly is distributed throughout all of the other classes that are physical based, so axe, blade, and polearm. And you'll also notice, if a keen eye saw it, Cavalier is separated because the document is a 127-page document. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think people want to see that randomly appear in Axe Blade and Polearm for no reason other than the fact that they are on there. Oh, and also stealth. So, light magic classes. Excuse me while I scroll down. We are a timekeeper. So, this sheet looks a little complex at first, but after going through, reading it, you'll understand it's actually not that hard. All it does is tell you what your base stats at level 0 are, what you need to roll to determine your rate in each stat, what your ranks under each classification of damage type there is in the game, your movement speed, which, by the way, was the next piece we were looking for. Our current movement speed is basic, which is 7. So we also have a 7 here. And hang on. And furthermore, gives us our background skill choices. Now, of course, we will get to those as we get to those, but our first thing we should worry on is our rates and minimum rates. So, you'll notice here that rates and minimum rates are divided into D8, or into the dice number. If you've played Dungeons and Dragons, the D8 is the 8-sided dice, D6 is your 6-sided, D4 is your 4-sided, so on and so forth. You have a distributed of commonly 1 D4, 2 D6s, 2 D8s, 2d10s and 1d12, with your d12 being for your best stat and your d4 being for your worst stat. So you'll notice for our Chronomancer, speed is their best stat, while defense is their worst stat, making them not a tanky up in your face class and more of a speedy support unit. This is all balanced out with the minimum rates helping guarantee that at least you have decently good rates. They're not exactly, always guaranteed to be the best. In fact, you can end up in a situation where your speed is, your speed, which in the case of the Timekeeper is their highest roll, is actually worse than, say, their luck. And this is all part of the strategy of the game, is playing with what you're given. So let's transition back over to Tabletop Sim, and I'm going to again delete all of these, and I will be reading down the line here what exactly we need to do. So and I actually had this set up so that I could roll all of these depending on which class I got. So we can actually just roll all of these all at once. The greatness that is all of this. So we will now quickly categorize all of these, make sure that none of our ones that need re-rolled, and just go with what we got. So first things first, we have our HP, which was one of our d8s. I will take this one. It was on a 4. Make sure that it is on a 4. We then have our attack, which was a d6 with a minimum of 3. So very sad that I didn't get to re-roll that. That's meant to be, there we go. Quickly also going to check and make sure, yes, the d8 is correct. We then have our d4, which was a roll of a 4, very high for defense, which is a minimum of 2. We have our resistance next, which was a d6 with a min of 3. We then have our dodge, which was a d10 with a min of 5. I will take this one just because it is furthest left, and I'm doing furthest left to furthest right if you haven't caught on to that yet. Our speed is then a d12 with a min of 6, and as you can see, we got unlucky. We got a 7, which we wish that it was higher, like an 8 or a 9, but of course this is your tier 1 character. You will get to re-roll these and improve on them later in the game. We then have a d8 with a min of 4 for luck, so we got a 7, very good. And then finally for skill, a d10 with a min of, I believe, 6. No, it is 5, sorry. So this is our rolled rates that we got here, and let's quickly transpose those into our character sheets. So when you make a character and roll your rates, you will basically take the rolled numbers that you have and subtract them from 10. So our HP rate was a 4. So we should have a 6, and then we will times that by 10 to get our actual rate that we will be using. I'm going to quickly underline these because they are not meant to be underlined. So, we then have a 3, which is a 70. We have a 4, which is a 60. We have a 4 again, which is also a 60. We have a 10, which is a 0. We have a 7, which is a 30. We have another 7, which is another 30. And we have a 6, which is a 40. Whenever rolling your rates, it is advised to game masters to go through and check with their characters to make, or check with their players to make sure that when they start, they have at least an average of at least 50. You would like to get about 50% of your levels ups when you roll, basically. So 60 plus 70 plus 60, that all is quick math, 190, 250, this is 0, so 250, 280, 310, plus 40 is 350, divided by 8, because there is 8, is definitely less than our 50% average. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is about 45 to 30 or 45 to 40%. Don't quote me on that. That is just a rough number off the top of my head. So approximately, 60% of our rates will be guaranteed, or approximately 16% of our stats, or 60, if I could speak English, of our stats will be improved as we level up, which is, in all honesty, pretty good. I will now, over here on this, it automatically does the calculation for you, so, and we should see, 10. I can read and know how to read dice, it's okay. So, you should see that these will mirror our rolled rates that we had in here. And you will also notice that these are all basically copied over to each other now. Once we have done that, we can go through and copy over our basic rates, or basic stats, sorry, which is 8646. I'm going to close out that. So, 8646. Followed by 8646. 10, 12, 8, 10. 10, 12, 8, 10. And 10, 12, 8, 10. When also, by the way, you are going between the different tiers, we roll tier 2, which is mid potential of what you can start out as. The difference between classes is not that much. You are slightly, or between tiers, you are slightly more likely than the tier above you to roll higher on your rates, and you have slightly better starting stats. However, basically, if you of course are a little bit less than the one beneath you, so, or above you. So, for instance, a Master Chronomancer starts with 8 HP and a D10 with a min of 4, whereas we start with 8 HP with a D8 with a min of 4. As, you know, the rate differences. And of course there are a few other differences, like your background skills will be slightly better, your ranks will be slightly better, so on and so forth. At the start of the game, these numbers don't affect too much, they just affect your potential for late game, so unless you are truly trying to min-max your character, the difference between a tier 1 and a tier 3 character at the start is next to nothing. Of course, late game there is some slight effects of this due to the fact that the higher tier characters can get better skills towards the end of the game. However, of course, use what you are given, not what you wish for, is the main strategy of this game. So, now, let's continue on to our ranks, because we will roll our level 1 stats once we have gone through and chosen everything for our character and applied all of our armor, as armor does affect what our rolled rates are and how we level up. So you will notice, as a timekeeper, we start with Fs in all physicals, E's in all magic except for light, which we start with C in. So I'm going to do personally, hang on, our weapon type over here. We do not need to carry about any of our physicals. We do need to care about our basic magic, which is 7 in all of these except for our light magic, which is C. Quickly look at our index here, 24. This just means that we are slightly more adept at picking up these magic types than, say, a tier 1, and a tier 3 would be slightly more adept in light magic than we are right now, with the same capabilities to pick up other magic as well to solidify their character. Over here on the physical sheet, the way this is done is I just recommend you underline or circle, depending on which version of the sheet you are doing, whether it be real life or non-real life. It is entirely up to you how you do this. And you just go down the line and underline what your character is in each of these. Almost done. There we go. So you will see now that we have gone through and underlined, all of our physicals are at F, all of our magicals except for light are at E, and light is at C tier. Once we have done that, we then can move on and do our background skill choices, of which I actually already have been thinking about for this character. So I want Jirai to pick up alchemy and arcana alongside a bit of engineering as the character that he is. As he goes on, I want him to focus more on arcana than, his alchemy, so the slight alchemist boost that he gets here over arcana isn't going to be much, but he will still be using both of the skills and will be, in turn, basically using his engineering to figure out ways around the alchemy requirements, that is, and magic, of which, of course, when I get into class explanation videos tomorrow, I will explain a little bit about the alchemist and what they need to basically get further into the game. Of course, though, you may notice I have picked up 3 of these, and that is what you get whenever you are starting your character. You get to make 3 choices from any of these 8 that you see here, with E all else being kind of a gimme for each of the other ones. You can pick E in any of them of your choosing. So we are going to pick C alchemy, D arcanist, and D engineering, which I'm going to go through and quickly change their usage totals over here to reflect this, and I will come back to you once we have done that. Now, I should have mentioned this before I did the cut that I just did, but when going through and doing your arcanist or doing your background skills, they work exactly similarly to weapon ranks, where they improve as you use them, basically, and of course start at the specific ranks provided in here. On your digital version, this means that you are tracking your usage totals to the lowest level to get them to that rank. So for instance, to get it to D, it's 1,025 usages, whereas on weapon ranks, which also do this, to get to C of any tier, you need 24 of the usages. And just getting to the lowest is what you do at the start, so that way you are considered basically at raw 0, and you just increase these numbers as you use them in the game. As we only start with 3 background rates, we do not care about any or background skills. We don't care about any of the additional other ones, as they are all Fs, so they start at 0 usages. And you may also notice that our multipliers got slightly improved because of the ranks that we gained from just starting. We will now go in and add the multipliers, which are mentioned here. So history is a 1.38, 1.38, and I'm going to use this, by the way, as a calculator for these, because these multipliers are a bit rough, and as you are leveling up, especially on the physical sheet, I don't recommend doing the total, but you can, just in case you are in a slow game and you don't level up as often as, say, you would in a faster, more grittier campaign where you are killing things more than you're role-playing. These totals are more for role-play areas where you are just in need of knowing what you're adding to your role, basically. So physics is a 1.32, 1.32. Chemistry is a 1.32. Arcana is 1.26, and so is engineering. And then we also have, artistry and general knowledge as 1.26. Artistry is right there, 1.26. And general knowledge or merchant, 1.26 right there. I keep clicking over there for no reason. And all else are 1.2. So, now that we have got that all done, you'll notice our multiplier totals have been upgraded to their proper multipliers, and I am just going to copy these numbers and bring them over to here. Oops, hang on. Ding. We can mess with those later. I'm just going to keep those there as they are right now. After all, this is more of a personal document, just to show you all what's going on here. Gosh, that does stick out like a sore thumb, though. And I also forgot to mark earlier that these were background skills, so I'm just going to quickly... Yes, and where is... Yes. So, and then, now that we have done that, you will notice also in our digital document, we have auto calculation for not only our totals, but also our passive totals. Totals are what you add to any roll that you intend to do, while passive total is if you intend to just passively do the roll. This is for DMs who would like to know what a person's perception score is, so scout over here. And their ability or maybe inability to notice somebody sneaking up on them. So we are also going to copy over our totals, and of course it has forsaken me. So, now that we have done all that, we then get to go through and now add in our starting year. Starting year is something you only get when you are initially leveling up into the class or just starting. I say initially leveling up into the class because you do pick up the skills of the class when you multi-class, and more on that in a bit, but you do not gain any of the items that they have at the start. So, when you start up a class, or start up the game, you get basically whatever your starter weaponry is, which for our timekeeper of Jirai here, is haste. And you also get, and this is pre-included for you on your digital sheet, a Rennery Leaf. A Rennery Leaf, Rennery Leaf is a healing item that is commonly grown throughout the lands of Lincier, and is a nice little healing item that you can pick up that heals you for 10 HP on use, which you can just do in combat, which of course will be covered more tomorrow whenever we are tomorrow or the next day whenever we are doing the combat tutorial, and I am explaining how all of that works. So we have our haste. It's currently in our inventory. It's equipped, but what does it do, you know? And I'm going to also put in haste. It is equipped, yes, and I will put in what these effects are in a moment. So we go into our weapons and statuses document. We go for haste, which is here. Control F is the savior. So this is accuracy, this is damage bonus, this is usages, this is what rank are required to use it, / what ranks it improves. This is the range it has, this is the damage type, and this is the specialty bonus effect that it might have, depending on whatever it is. Some of them don't have things. Haste here, however, has a pretty nice and decent item effect. So let's go in by adding in 50 to its accuracy, which is what it is. It is a times 0. It is a 5% damage multiplier, so only 5% of our damage is calculated, and I will go in and do the math on here so that it's auto-calculated. Your DM will need to, or your game master will need to go in and do this for you whenever you are starting your campaigns. This is simply just because keeping a full weapons document tracked in your Google Sheets is a little bit of a storage issue, especially for each sheet, and having a reference that runs all 8 of these is quite intense, especially when you consider all the items in the game and everything else with custom crafting and just everything getting tracked off of these 8 cells isn't the best of options. So, slight apology on the digital sheet. This is the one thing that needs to be mathed in with formulas for you that is not done automatically, but you know, you live with what you can get. We then go in and grab our usages, which is 40 out of 40. 40. It has a range of 1. It has other effects of all of that, which we will read out whenever we are covering our combat. And, of course, we want to be able to click in, read that. We are then also a C light. Light is weak to anima, which is strong against dark. Anima is the classification of fire, water, air, and earth magic, just bundled up into one. Dark magic is, well, the antithesis of light magic, and, you know, what is fought against with it, basically. We can then go in and do 40 over 40, weak to anima / dark. I'm going to quickly make that smaller. We can do tab, or sorry, space. Well, actually what we will do is we will do accuracy 50 or decrease that, DMB for damage bonus of times 0.05, and then This is normally wherever you keep like your notebook at hand and put in like the bonus effects in there. But of course, because we are doing this all on this digital sheet, and whenever you're doing it on a digital sheet, you might not care about it. Copy. And we're just going to make this really small. And I assure you, when that's out in real paper, you'd be surprised what people can actually read. Because, in all honesty, if I quickly do zoom to fit, well, that does fit my currently small screen, so 200, which is what you'll be able to read, you could see that, oh, yeah, this is right there. We then, once we are done with that, get our basic skills, which are mentioned right here. For our tier 2, we get quite a nice and vast array of them. They are useful, speedy, initiator, dodgy, and time slow. And now that I no longer need the weapons and statuses, I'm no longer going to have them up. So we are then going to go over to here. We are then going to go over to here. And we now get to go into our manual and pull open our battle skills. This battle skills list, it was showcased earlier today and shows all the different skills in the games and all their effects. We need useful, which makes it so that whenever we use an item or weapon effect, we get 25 EXP. So we are going to copy, paste that in. This is on use. I'm also going to quickly go in, copy and paste. On here, this entire back page is for your usage of these. I recommend, if you're doing it in paper, you just do it as how I'm going to do it here, where you write in your skills. You then grab whatever the text is, copy and paste, or, write it out basically, and copy it in. I'm going to go quickly find all of these, and then we will cover all of these skills as you go. Of course, when you're making your character, it is recommended you use, that's a very special skill that I don't want to cover yet. It is recommended you use Control F and search up your skill name to figure out what it is. Alrighty, so continuing where we left off, you'll now see that I have added in all of our battle skills and added in all of their effects on both not only our physical copy, but also our digital copy. And I'm going to read over them. So, useful here, whenever we use an item, we gain 25 EXP. And I didn't mention really EXP that much, but EXP is how you level up and manage your character in this game. So every time you will use an item, or, for most characters, attack or kill, we get the special case of also use an item. We get to gain a slight amount of EXP from attacking, which is 3 EXP for every time we start an attack string with an enemy and end with it in the instance where we don't kill the enemy. If we start an attack string with an enemy and end it with the enemy dead, we gain 50 EXP, and we add those totals to our EXP total, and once it reaches this number right here, we get to reduce it back down to 0, or 0 plus whatever the overage is, and level ourselves up. As we are level 0, we just get to do this for free in a moment, but I need to mention it now just because it's there. Speedy, whenever we level up, we will get +1 to speed, so we are level 0 right now. Whenever we level up, which we will level up into level 1 here in a moment, we get to gain 1 speed. Same thing with dodgy, except it's for dodge, or DGE. Initiator, whenever we are starting battle, or whenever we are calculating movement order, we are given +5 to SPD, or speed, and I will again go over how this all works whenever we're doing combat here. Just know that this is a nice little skill to make sure that we are going faster and more often first in combat. And finally, our main class skill here that we have gained so far, time slow. When we are using haste or chrono spells, you will notice we already have haste. Chrono is a more improved version of haste that we will get later in the game. It will add an additional +5 speed for turn order calculations during the next turn. If that causes them to take the extra turn during that round due to the buff going away via swapping of turn order count, they get to take the extra turn. This is mentioned also on haste. If we go down here and quickly read this, yeah. So this +5 basically is now the equivalent of a +10 according to our calculations, and I'm just going to add it in there raw, so that way I don't have to read the skill every time. It's just I have +10 speed to their turn order calculations due to time slow, which is pretty good actually. And will now mean that we're going to guarantee probably swap their turn order more often than not, which is the main goal of the Chronomancer. By the next video, I will have our accuracy totals and damage totals all put in here, and I'll explain how they all work. We then have one last little thing that we need to get before we close out this video, and that is our armor. Armor is given here as a basic. They are this final numbered set of items, and we get a leather hat, a linen robe, leather pants, a set of fingerless wool gloves, and a set of iron chain belted leather boots. Like our battle skills, there is an entire document denoted to armor, and you will notice that there is quite a fair amount here. And each one has slight little minute skills that don't affect our class too much, but do affect what we can do. So for instance, you'll notice we have a leather hat. It is a head slot item, which has Mind Improver. Over here, we add in leather hat, Mind Improver, and I know what Mind Improver is off the top of my head. It is -2 to SKL rates, which I'm just going to put that there. We then basically get to go down the line, searching for our armor piece, and add it in. Again, Control F is a good friend, and while you're in here, you may notice some more extreme armor, which will be stuff that you get to look forward to while designing your character and thinking for the future. Alrighty, so before I go in and add all of these number in, I wanted to just show you and run over what we gained from adding in our armor, and as such their armor skills that they have given us while we are wearing them. You'll notice I have also gone in and done the liberty of copy and pasting over all of the armor and the armor skills into this. So, because we are wearing a leather hat, we get the Mind Improver armor skill, which temporarily will reduce our skill rates by 2 while we are wearing it. This goes in -2, and you'll notice that this means that we just need to roll a 38 rather than a 40, and this will be explained better in a bit whenever we are leveling our character up to improve our SKL. And this goes on down the line, so on our linen robe, we got a grand total of +6 to our resistance, which goes right there. We get -2 to res rates and +2 to res from our leather pants. So -2 +8. And while this may seem like what we're getting here is a pretty bad deal, lowering our rates, that sounds pretty bad, is actually really good. Think of your rates more as like golf scores rather than, what, than high number score. We want them lower so that they level up more often. So, for instance, we need to roll a 60 in HP, which means that when we roll a D100 as we level up, which now that we are at this point I can start to explain, is not as good as, say, rolling a 54. And now I'm going to quickly improve or make sure our health is alright, and just copy over our 6 and 8, or our -6s and -8s that we have, which is as simple as -6 here, 54. This is a +8, I believe. Yes. And we then have a -6 to SKL, which brings us down to 34. Bada bing, bada boom. So, now that we have done all this, let's explain leveling up finally. Which is, well, actually, first off, messed that up. I almost forgot about it. We need to determine our race and what that'll do for us. Jirai, I've kind of been thinking about this, he's a human, more or less. I am going to give him he is going to be I'm in between either, Drakenkin or Angelkin human. Angelkin being, born of angelic style blood, or, godly blood, basically, with Drakenkin being born of, draconic or, similar lineage. I think just because of what he is going to know in the world, he's going to actually be a Drakenkin, and I'm going to give him a Sylvari sigil as his benefit. So you can read through all of these lists on your own time to determine your own character. There are plenty of unique races in here, and each with their own sub-race, of which all give special effects. But with our Drakenkin, human, Jirai here, he's going to be more of a, specialty soul who understands a lot about what is going on in the world, but is pretty focused in on his works. So, we are going to remove our limiter for the Sylvari sigil and state, since we basically start with the item used, Sylvari sigil. This in turn means that we have access to our 4th prestige tier, of which can just go in on the end here and wahoo. And finally, as part of this, we gain, I'm going to get rid of our armor, we gained a -5 to a rate of choice and +3 to a rate of choice. I would like to lower our speed, and make it so that we aren't leveling up our attack as often. We don't really need it in the Chronomancy class. Of course, depending on what Jiraiya's life leads him through, he may or may not end up using it, but for right now, I would like to keep his speed lower so he's doing more, and keep him more as a support unit for whoever his friends may be. Now, finally, Draken can human, and we go 73 and 25. Now finally, let's get into rolling our level 1 stats. So, first off, we are going to increase our level from 0 to 1. If you were to gain anything at level up, you gain these level up effects before you do your rolling. So in the instance of, say, we were at level 3, we will gain useful before we would actually roll our levels and technically level up. This is more of a when you enter this level, you gain the effects. This means if you were to gain, say, speedy or dodgy at their time of leveling up, you do get the +1s from their levels, +1 from gaining them at their correct levels, just not if you get them as starting gear. So, because of this, we now are going to go through and add our +1 to speed and +1 to dodge, just as raw starting, and I'm going to do that over here as well. Alrighty, now that we have done that, I, in all honesty, no longer need this tab, so I'm going to get rid of it because now everything is in between me, the dice, and my rates. I also no longer need my races, so wahoo, we are down to just the 2 tabs that we started with and our manual as a third. You may have thought that I would have closed Tabletop Sim by now. No, I have not. We are going to pull these back into the mainframe. I'm going to move those back down into here for whoever is going to be using them eventually. And we are going to just pick up and roll 8 D100s. And note down the rolls. That is a 19. A 33. Some pretty low rolls. I'm a little bit scared for Jirai here, but it's okay. A 97. I say we're having bad rolls, then I immediately get one of the best rolls possible. A 71. A 90. It's weird. Oh, I know why my Game Master dice aren't killing me yet. I haven't put my Game Master curse on them yet. Oh, hey, will you look at that? I get to explain triple zeros. For those who don't use D100s often or don't know about it, triple zeros, or in this case, because these are specialized coded D100s, triple zeros means that you actually rolled a 100. It's just a fault in the way that D100s are designed, that they have zeros in the place of what would be their tens. So triple zeros means 100, actually. We are then going to go 100. And we have 2 more of these to go. Jeez, the dice are being really kind to me today. But yeah, no, I normally curse my DM dice right before I do my sessions, just to make sure that they don't like players a lot. Of course, you know, this does backfire on me when they're my only set of dice. The curse does eventually show up for me, but, you know, live and learn. So, we have our initial D100 rolls. We have a 19, a 33, a 97, a 71, a 90, a 100, another 90, and a 98. We are then going to take it versus each of these and compare these in any order you may like to basically improve your stats. So, for instance, I could use my 19 against this 60, but it would be better used against this dodge right here at 0 to improve to a 12. And, oh, I forgot to show you. Whoops. Hang on. Boop, boop. So, as I was saying here, we could use that 19 versus our 60 here, or we could do a much better usage and put it versus our 0. If we were to beat a rolled rate with whichever of the numbers that we have chosen, in this case our 19, we are going to get to improve our stat by 1. And then go back over to our notebook here and then remove it from our pool. You then repeat this for each and every stat. Once you have done a stat, you are not allowed to do it again. So, for instance, with this, we have done dodge. We are no longer allowed to choose dodge as something we are leveling up in this level, and instead must choose between our other remaining stats. But basically, we take our 7 remaining rolled rates and put it against any of our 7 remaining stats, and if we beat, we get to improve them up. So, our next rolled rate was a 33. I'm going to put it versus our speed here and improve it to a 14. Now I can no longer use dodge or speed here, and I can't use my 33 or my 19 that I had rolled previously. All of my other ones are greater than 70, and as you will see, besides attack, which is a 73, we can smartly determine that I won't use my 70 on my 73 here. I'll use my 70 on my next lowest, which is luck, so we actually get a full level up instead of just, only a few stats here and there. And this is another strategy that you can use, is properly leveling your stats to make sure that you are guaranteed to get full stat upgrades. Of course, you're not always guaranteed to. The luck of the dice will eventually screw you over, and you just gotta deal with what you get from the dice. So we then get to move back over to here. We improved all of these by 1 from what their current value was. So we then get to go in and do our totals and finally have our finished character and their level 1 stats with their addition from armor, which I will just copy and paste these over. So 9, 7, 5, 7 plus 8 is 15. Pretty nice resistance right there. 12, 14, 9, and 11. Of course, when we're covering combat tomorrow, we will actually discuss what all these stats do, what they all mean, and, what purpose they serve to you as a player. I am going to preemptively add that in here, and I am also going to go over to here and change that over to a 9. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I've been Dat Boy. See y'all next time.